about the commerce work in 2018. We are honored to have the Vice Minister, Mr. Keming, the Head of Comprehensive Department, Chu Shijia, the Head of Department of Foreign Investment Administration, Mr. Tang Wenhong, and the Deputy Head, Mr. Wang Bing, from the Department of Market Cooperation and Consumption Promotion. And they will brief us on some of the commerce work from Ministry of Commerce and Market Operation, and they will also take questions from the media. First, let's invite Vice Minister Mr. Keming to brief us. Friends from the media, as we have just passed the Spring Festival holiday, and we are very happy to see all of you here to come here to attend the press conference. I would like to extend my New Year greetings to all of you. First of all, I would like to brief you on the general situation of the development of the commerce work in 2018. In 2018, facing with the domestic and the international situation, under the leadership of CPC Central Committee with Xi Jinping at its core, the Commerce Department has implemented the spirit from the 19th National Congress, and we focus on the deployment from CPC Central Committee and the State Council. We stay committed to pursue progress while ensuring stability. We focus on the new development philosophy and focus on the supply side reform. We have continued to make efforts to implement the requirements from the 6 key tasks in order to promote consumption, stabilize the foreign trade, stabilize the foreign investment, and the commerce work have made solid progress. And we have pushed forward into high-quality development. We have made a solid step to make China into a power of economic and trade. We have a good start to implement the spirit from the 19th CPC National Congress. First of all, I want to mention that the consumption has made greater contribution to the national economy. The retail sales have reached 38.1 trillion RMB, up by 9%. We have maintained a stable growth, and we also have a rapid growth for the premium products and service consumption. And we also have a good sales in cosmetics, home appliances, and communication devices. The service consumption has accounted for 49.5% of the total of the consumption, and we also see many new models of the consumption. For example, we see a lot of increased consumption in the modernized supply chain, the e-commerce, and the digital consumption. The online sales has reached over 9 trillion RMB, up by 23.9%, for the consumption has becoming the major force for the national economy. And the consumption has contributed 76.2% of the national economy. And this contribution rate has increased by 18.6% compared to last year. And the second feature I want to mention is that we have made records for the foreign trade. We have continued to consolidate China's position as the trade of goods. And the trade volume for the whole year is around 30.5 trillion RMB, up by 9.7%. So it was around like $4.6 trillion, up by 12.6%. This figure has increased by $510 billion compared to 2017. And we have made new development and progress for the five optimization. We have continued to optimize the layout of the international market. And the trade volume from the Belt and Road countries has increased to 27.4%. We have a much balanced layout of the domestic regional layout. And the trade volume from the median and the western region has accounted for 15.8%. We have continued to upgrade our commodity structure, and the export of the mechanical products has achieved around 58.7%. And also, we can see the export from the private sectors accounts for 48% of the total. And we have continued to optimize the trade model. And the general trade export accounts for 56.3%, and we have continued to see a rapid growth in the export in the cross-border e-commerce and the market purchase. We have much balanced trade of goods, and the import reached around like 14.1 trillion RMB. And we have narrowed down the trade surplus to 18.3%. And the servicing trade in China has ranked number 2 for 5 consecutive years. And the trade volume is about 5.2 trillion RMB. For the knowledge-intensive service trade has increased by 20.7%. The third feature is that we have a good performance of the usage of the foreign investment. So for 2018, we have established over 60,000 new foreign invested companies, up by 69.8%. The actual use of foreign capital is around 885.6 billion RMB, up by 0.9%. Under the international context, we have increased the actual use of the foreign capital. We have a rapid growth of the foreign attraction from the developed economies, including UK, Germany, ROK, Japan, and the US. The investment to China has increased to 150.1%, 79%, 24%, 13.6%, and 7.7% respectively. And we have continued to optimize the usage of the foreign investments, and we have achieved a 30.6% increase for the use of the foreign capital in the manufacturing industry. And we also have made solid progress in the project in the Tesla and the BMW. And for the larger projects, which values over $500 billion has increased by 23.3%. We have continued to increase our foreign investments in the central and the western region of China. The actual use of foreign capital in the western regions reaches 64.6 billion RMB, up by 18.5%, and actual use of foreign capital in the central region is around 64.8 billion RMB, up by 15%. The fourth feature is that we have seen a better performance of the quality of the outward investment. The outward investment in 2018 is around $129.8 billion, up by 4.2%. Most of the outward investment has been flowed to the commercial service sector, the manufacturing sector, the retail sector, and the mining sector. And the direct investment to the Belt and Road countries is around $15.6 billion, up by 8.9%. And we also see an innovative way for the outward investment. We have achieved merging of 405 cases. And also, we have seen very good performance in the equity replacement and the joint investment, etc. And also, the overseas projects have made contribution for China's export and also help to improve our national economy. And the turnover we have achieved in this area is around $169 billion, and focusing in the area of transportation, architecture, and electricity. And all of these efforts will help to create jobs in China and also help China to get $70 billion of export of equipment products. And the fifth feature is that we have made solid progress in the poverty alleviation. We have made solid progress in poverty alleviation in the area of e-commerce. We have introduced e-commerce into the demonstration zone in the rural area for around 238 regions. We have purchased agricultural products from these impoverished regions. This purchase has reached around like 7.2 billion RMB. And the Home Service has also made contribution for the poverty alleviation. And we have continued our efforts to conduct the overseas poverty alleviation. We have set up the poverty alleviation pilot area in over hundreds of enterprises. For these enterprises, they have sent out overseas labor service for around 35,000 people. And for the daily income for these people, it was around 100,000 RMB. And we have continued our efforts to make more people engage in different sectors for the poverty alleviation. And for the Canton Fair, have also reduced the exhibition fee for these areas. The sixth feature is that we have continued to push forward for the multilateral and the bilateral trade cooperation. We stay committed to uphold the multilateral trading system, and we also published the first the white paper on China and WTO. And we have made 3 underlying principles and 5 propositions. This will help to push forward the reform of WTO. We have made new strides in the building of the free trade zone. We have concluded the negotiation for the FTA with Mauritius. And we also signed an agreement with Singapore for the FTA. We have continued our efforts to sign the cooperation agreement with the EU Economic Association. China has taken active steps in the global governance. This will help to implement the consensus that has been made from the G20. And during the meetings in the BRICS, and we also signed over 10 agreements. We have made solid steps to push forward the relations between China and Africa. We have held the Beijing Summit for China-Africa Cooperation Forum, and we have pushed forward the 8 decisions. In the past year, we have fully implemented the spirit of the 19th CPC National Congress, and we also made progress in the 3 key tasks that was assigned by the CPC Central Committee. First of all, we have successfully held the first CIIE. We fully implement the guidance from General Secretary Xi Jinping and also set up the comprehensive exhibition and expo. We have created a first-level enterprises, first-level products, first-level service. And for this CIIE, we have 172 countries attended this event. This is a major country diplomacy event for China. We have over 220 companies from the Fortune 500 attended this event, and they have released over 300 new products in this event. The transaction amount has reached around $57.8 billion. And we have over 4,500 guests attending the Hongqiao International Forum and exchange their views. And we would say that the CIIE has become a milestone event in the international society. Second, we have taken an active position to deal with the China-US trade friction. We have taken active steps to be engaged in the China-US trade consultation, and we continue our efforts to follow the consensus that's made between the 2 heads of states back in Argentina. And we have released the white paper for the China's position of the China-US trade friction. We have clarified our position, and also we acknowledge that the nature of the China-US trade relation is mutually beneficial. And we also take active actions to stabilize the foreign trade and the foreign investment to help companies to release their burden. And third, we continue our efforts to explore the possibility to build the Hainan Free Trade Port. We strictly follow the guidance from General Secretary Xi Jinping and the CPC Central Committee, and we have come up a general plan to build a free trade pilot zone in Hainan province. And we have come up a phased-based plan to build a free trade port in Hainan province. We have made solid progress in this regard. And also, we have learned from the experience that has been set from the other reform and testing sites. In 2019, we will continue to be guided by the Xi Jinping thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for the new era. And with the leadership of the CPC, we will continue to focus on the supply side reform and the three critical tasks. And we will continue to implement the requirements from the sixth initiative for stability. We will continue to promote consumption, stabilize the foreign trade, the foreign investment, and we are preparing to host the second CIIE, and we will take active steps to deal with the China-US trade friction and to form a strong domestic market and further opening up. We will continue to build a rule-based market. We will continue our efforts to make China into a power in economic and trade development. And we will be welcoming and celebrating the 70th anniversary of the founding of PRC. Thank you for your introduction. Now is the Q&A section. So please raise your questions according to the theme of our press conference. Please announce your news agency before you raise the question. We've realized that some of the countries have taken actions to talk about the foreign investment. Can you give us more information about that? In 2018, we are facing with fast-changing and complicated international society. China's foreign trade has continued its healthy momentum. There are several features for the China's foreign trade development. First of all, we have continued to optimize our foreign investment. In 2018, as I have just mentioned, we have increased the foreign trade around 4.2% under the international backdrop, which has a decline of the foreign investment. China has maintained a growth rate, and we also have an innovative way for the foreign investment. For example, we have a rapid growth for the merging. We have completed 405 merging cases. And in the area of the equity replacement and the joint venture, and we also show a very positive momentum. In general, in the area of manufacturing, we have witnessed a rapid growth. And we have put a restraint for the virtual foreign investment in the year of 2018. So meaning that we have restricted non-rational foreign investment. And we also have made solid progress in the overseas investment. As we have just mentioned that China has been taken an advantage in the overseas investment project. In recent years, we have a very strong power in the manufacturing. and we have very strong capability in the manufacturing. This will also help the countries from the Belt and Road route. In 2019, the turnover we have achieved from the overseas projects, it is around like 169 billion US dollars. So this investment has focused on the transportation and also brought employment opportunities to the host regions. This will help to improve the infrastructure and improve the livelihood of the Belt and Road countries. And China has also gained 70 billion US dollars from the overseas projects. By the end of 2018, we have almost 1 million overseas labor service working in other countries. And we also dispatched the labor service from the impoverished regions for around 35,000 people. This may not be the accurate number. However, we have focused on the labor service that has been coming out from the impoverished regions. As I have just mentioned, that we have a huge amount of labor service overseas. Even though there is one person coming out of the impoverished household, they will also bring benefits and prosperity to the local community. So the overseas labor service may also help us for the poverty alleviation in China. We have also provided assistance to overseas. In 2018, we have served over 160 countries for assistance projects. The fifth feature is that we have continued to deepen our cooperation with the countries along the Belt and Road route. And for the turnover of the overseas projects for these countries amounts for around 89.3 billion US dollars. As we can see, we have very prosperous and thriving development for the Belt and Road initiative. We have continued our efforts to implement the projects into the Belt and Road countries. As you have just mentioned, some countries have also taken their way in protectionism. And they're also harming the development of the Chinese companies in the name of national security. Going forward, we will continue to work with Chinese companies to fully abide by the international practice. We will help to improve the employment for these companies and also to achieve a mutually beneficial result. At the same time, we urge some countries take the open attitude so that they can create a level playing field for Chinese companies so that they can make greater contribution for the global economy. Next question, please. Economic Daily. In 2018, we have seen a larger share from consumption from the national economy. However, we have seen a downward pressure from the growth rate from the retail sales. The growth rate is only 9%, a little bit below that the two-digit growth. Can you give us some briefing and the updates on the performance of 2018 and some of the projection of 2019? Thank you. As you have just mentioned, we do see a slower growth rate for the retail sales. However, the consumption and the circulation have a very good performance in general in 2018. Once again, I would like to release some of the data for the performance of the consumption market. In the circulation area, it takes up around like 13%. And we also have an 8.3% increase for the employment attraction. And the tax income has also made contribution to stabilize the growth and bring benefits to the livelihood. Currently, for the growth rate for the retail sales, it has ranked number 2 in the world. We have also narrowed our gap with our growth rate with the United States. For the online sales of physical goods has increased 3% as compared to the total retail sales. We have a minor decline in the angle coefficient. The consumption rate has made greater contribution to the national economy, up by 18% compared to 2017. We have seen a very promising trend in the domestic market, meaning that we have a very healthy momentum for the development of the consumption market. Affected by multiple factors in China and overseas, we have also seen a phased-based growth in 2018. Even though we have a slower growth for the retail sales in 2018, meaning that we will still face some uncertainties for the development of the consumption market. As we understand that the automobile takes up a larger percentage of the consumption, if we have a slower consumption rate in the automobiles, it will also affect the overall consumption in China. I would like to point out a figure that the newly sold automobiles in China is around 28 million. So this figure has ranked one of the top in the world. And also, as we compare to 2017, we will see that every million households, the car ownership has increased from 21.5 cars to 40 cars. We also have a huge demand for the consumption market for the automobile sector. If we take on this figure as 1,000 people, in China, every 1,000 people, they have owned around like 70 cars. However, this figure in the European countries and the US, this figure is around 100 people. We still have room for the development of the consumption of the automobile market. Even though we have a slower growth rate for the retail sales in 2018, however, 9% is still a high or median height growth rate. We have continued to upgrade our consumption market and expand the consumption scale, and we have made a lot of innovation for the consumption market. This trend has remained unchanged. Consumption has made greater contribution for the national economy. We still have a long way to go to transform and upgrade the consumption market. Even though we have a slower growth rate right now, it doesn't mean that we will slow down the consumption trend in China. In 2019, we will face new challenges and risks. We are expecting an even slower growth rate in the consumption market, but China is a huge market. We have over 1.4 billion population, and most of them are middle-income families. So we have a huge potential for this middle-income group. So as we have a fixed group of middle-income class, so it will help to continue to promote the consumption in China. In 2019, we may face more challenges and difficulties. However, in general, we have a very favorable condition. For example, in 2019, the State Council has released a series of policies to stabilize the growth. For example, there is an income growth for household, and the government will also lower the tax to promote the consumption market. Recently, 10 departments, including MOFCOM, will release a document to promote the consumption, including the promotion of the consumption in the automobile and the green food areas. There were 24 articles of policies to promote the consumption market. All of these will help to stabilize the consumption and make sure that we are going to have a good start of the year for the consumption market. We are expecting that we will have a stable and positive momentum for the retail sales market in China in 2019. For some of the key work that will be taken by MOFCOM, we will continue to abide by the decisions from the State Council and the CBC Central Committee, and we will continue to optimize the consumption market and also unlock the potential for the consumption. As we have just mentioned that we have published the 32 document. This has already formed an action plan. We will focus on a lot of initiatives to ensure a stable consumption market. Actually, in 2018, we have already made the decisions and work arrangements in the National Commerce meeting. And in April, we will have another specialized meeting to follow up on the decisions that we made from the National Commerce meeting in 2018. First of all, we will continue to improve the consumption in the urban area. We will come up with the rating system for the upgrade of the production streets. We will expand our pilot site for the production streets. By the end of 2019, we will have over 50 production streets under upgrade. And we will also make progress in the area for the upgrade of the supermarkets and the department stores. Hopefully, we can achieve a coordinated development for the convenience stores and the supermarkets. And we'll also strengthen our weak links in the consumption for the rural areas. In summary, we would like to foster market entities that will contribute to the development for the rural areas. We will also introduce the e-commerce service into the rural areas in order to boost the consumption and the economy of the rural areas. We will work together with the e-commerce companies and organize the shopping festival in the rural areas. In this way, we can ensure that the e-commerce can make some profitability in the rural areas and also lift the economy in the rural areas. Fourth, we will focus on the consumption in service. We will try to establish the convenience circle in different regions of China. We will come up with the credit rating guidelines, and we will continue to focus our efforts on the poverty alleviation. And the fourth effort we will take is that to continue to improve the circulation sector. We will release a series of policies to upgrade, to support the transaction, and also we will focus on the online-offline cooperation. Hopefully, all of this work can be more digitalized in the future. Fifth, we will continue to optimize the consumption market. We will set up the e-commerce guidance, and also we will come up with the recycling of the second-hand vehicles guideline, so that we can provide a better environment for the consumption of the automobile sector. As you have just mentioned that the growth rate for the retail sales has dropped back to 9%, but we have to take this issue as two sides. And when we talk about the retail sales, it basically refers to the physical goods. But we have also need to consider the household consumption. The household consumption, especially the consumption in service, takes up around 49% of the total retail sales. So for this 49% of consumption in service is not included for the growth rates for the retail sales. However, in the future, we will shift more focus on the consumption in service. However, for the physical goods in the retail sales, probably it will continue to maintain at a moderate rate. However, in the future, we may see a rapid development in the consumption in service. Xinhua News Agency. In 2018, we have very complicated foreign trade situation. However, we have set a lot of records in the foreign trade and also some of the usage of the foreign capital. Can you give us more information about the performance of the 2018 in terms of the foreign trade? Thank you. Thank you for your attention in the performance of the foreign trade. The trading goods in 2018 is around 4.62 trillion RMB, up by 12%. For the export, the figure is around 248 million. and for the import it's around 210 million. However, these figures are actually beyond our expectation. This means that China has a very strong resilience in its economic development. In 2018, we have 6 features for the performance of the foreign trade. First, we would like to talk about the size and the scale of the performance. For the scale, it actually has set the record. For example, for the export, import, as well as the trade volume in 2018 for the foreign trade, all of these figures have set new high. It has created a historical record. For the trade volume for the foreign trade, for the net increase, it is around 515 billion RMB. Actually, for this net increase, it is actually higher than the total foreign trade volume in 2001. Because at that time, the total trade volume is less than 500 billion RMB. In 2018, the growth rate from the foreign trade in China is actually better than the US, Germany, and Japan. This figure, it performed much better than some of the average of the developed countries. This is the first feature. The second feature is that we have continued to optimize the trade structure. This can be demonstrated in the area of the layout of the international market, the domestic market, the business entities, and the commodity structure. We have continued to make optimizations in these areas. And the exports from the Belt and Road countries has also realized a great increase. The export of the mechanicals has increased to 15%. And for the export of the private sector companies has increased to 48%. And the general trade export have also increased to 53%. And we've also continued to unlock our potential to improve the performance of the foreign trade. We have set up 22 cross-border entities. And also we have set up 6 pilot zones to promote the purchasing trade. And we also have seen a rapid growth for the cross-border e-commerce. For the export of the vehicles, the turnover rate is around like 14.8 billion RMB, and we have continued the speed to change the new growth models for the foreign trade. We have a better balanced foreign trade performance. As I've just mentioned, that the import increase has reached around like 12.9%, and this figure outpaced the growth rate for the export. So import has played a critical role in driving the performance of the overall trade volume, meaning that import has made greater contribution as compared to the export. And this is a significant sign we have to take into consideration. For crude oil, natural gas, the copper concentrate, iron ore, and the steel, all combined, the import of these products has increased by 10%, 3.9%, 4.5%, and 3.9% respectively. So all of this import has met the demand of the domestic market, and we have also narrowed the trade surplus by 2.3 trillion RMB. And the total import amounts to 14.09 trillion, up by 12.9%. The fifth feature is that the foreign trade has contributed to the national economy, especially in the area of the tax income. The tax income has increased by 1.4% as compared to 2017. The fast development of the foreign trade has also helped to improve the livelihood of Chinese people. At the same time, we also see the performance of Chinese foreign trade has made greater contribution for the global economy. According to WTO, in the first 3 quarters, the import of China to the global figure is around 10%. I would like to emphasize that in 2018, China has successfully held the first CIIE. This has also provided a platform and provide new opportunities to other countries so that all the countries can share the development opportunities with each other. This also adds impetus to the development of the global economy. Speak of the 2019 and the foreign trade trend. Currently, the foreign trade in China has also facing a complicated situation. As being stated by the Central Economic Work Conference, China is still at a critical point to develop the foreign trade market in China. And China is still facing some favorable conditions. Even though we are facing downward pressure from the globe, but still this trend will recover gradually. And China will continue to take active actions to further opening up and to upgrade our industry sectors. All of this will contribute to the development of the foreign trade in China. As I have just mentioned that the trading goods in China back in 2018 has surpassed our expectation. We have not seen the data in January yet. However, as far as we know, the trading goods in January from China has maintained a growth momentum. Even though today we have a heavy snow, but all of you have come here as the old Chinese saying goes, the timely snow represents an auspicious year. So we have all the confidence to stabilize the performance of the foreign trade and the foreign capital. And we also have the confidence to push forward for a high-quality development. We will continue to focus on the supply-side reform and focus on the 4 words that have been pushed forward by the Central Economic Work Conference. We will continue to create new models for running the foreign trade. We will continue to take active actions to absorb import, and we will make a full preparation to organize the second CIIE so as to promote the trade liberalization and facilitation. All in all, we would like to deliver a good result to celebrate the 70th anniversary of the founding of PRC. Thank you. From CMG. And last year was the 5-year anniversary that we proposed the BRI. As you have just mentioned that the export from the BRI countries has actually accounted for over 4% of the total growth. Can you give us more introduction about the performance of the BRI countries' performance? In 2018, we have fully implemented the guidance that has been proposed by General Secretary Xi Jinping. We strictly follow the deployment from the CPC Central Committee and the State Council. We fully implement the decisions that has been made from the first Belt and Road Forum. We have successfully helped the first CIIE and pushed forward the cooperation between China and African countries. And we have continued to deepen our cooperation with the countries along the Belt and Road route. And we have seen some solid progress that have been made in the past year. We have shifting our cooperation to high-quality development. There are several features. First of all, we have seen a very good trade exchange between the Belt and Road countries. We have made efforts to promote the trade facilitation and liberalization. We have set up many platforms to this regard. We have signed e-commerce cooperation agreement with over 19 countries along the Belt and Road route. We have launched 6,300 China Railway Express to Europe. And we have achieved a turnover of 1.3 trillion with the contractual value with the Belt and Road countries. Second, we continue our investment cooperation with the Belt and Road countries. We have continued to optimize the foreign investment environment and also continue to optimize the legislation to boost the cooperation between China and countries along the Belt and Road route. The direct investment to the countries along the Belt and Road route from China is around $16.2 billion. And we also have a better performance in the overseas projects that we have cooperated with the countries along the Belt and Road. And we also signed third-party cooperation agreement with Japan, Spain, Belgium, and the Netherlands, meaning that we will help them with some of the infrastructure building in these countries. Third, we have focused on major projects. We have also implemented a series of connectivity projects. For example, we have successfully launched the project of the Friendship Bridge of China-Maldives. And also, we have seen solid progress that have been made for the development of the Guarda ports. So all of these projects have made contribution to the local development. And also, we have very good cooperation with other countries. For example, we have set the industry park between China and Thailand, and we also set up the economic zone. And we also set up the special economic zone in Cambodia. All of these are good examples for the cooperation between China and the Belt and Road countries. All of these projects has bring employments to those regions and help to promote the local economy. For example, the economic zone that we have been setting up in the Cambodia has created over 22,000 jobs in Cambodia. Fourth, we have continued to build the free trade zone in these areas. And we have completed the negotiation with the FTA with Mauritius. And we have continued our efforts to discuss the FTA with Singapore. And we also signed the FTA agreement with the Euro-Asia Committee, and we also made good progress in the negotiation of the RCEP. We have made efforts to build a network to form a free trade zone. Fifth, we have continued to optimize the cooperation mechanism. We have made a lot of work in this regard. We have cooperated with Thailand and Kenya. We have set up special committee. And we also set up a special foreign investment committee in other regions in the countries along the Belt and Road route. So a series of cooperation mechanisms were formed in order to ensure a smooth cooperation between China and Belt and Road countries. In April this year, we will be hosting the second Belt and Road Forum in Beijing, and MOFCOM will work with relevant authorities to ensure a successful hosting of the Belt and Road Forum. And we also make sure that we will organize a successful sideline events in relates to the Belt and Road Initiative. At the same time, we will make sure that we can ensure a high-quality development between China and the countries along the Belt and Road route. As we have just noted that there is a downward pressure for the cross-border foreign investment. However, in China in 2018, we still have a very good momentum for the attraction of the foreign investment. Can you brief us on some of the work that's been taken by MOFCOM? Thank you for your question. Recently, we have seen a report from the United Nations. Pretty soon, we will see a monitoring report for the direct investment. And this report will see some of the figures for the transnational direct investment. For the transnational direct investment, on average, it is actually down by 19%. So this trend has been sustained for around 3 years. And this level has dropped to the lowest after the financial crisis. In recent years, the State Council and the CPC Central Committee have placed heavy emphasis to stabilize the foreign investment and the foreign capital. And we do see some of the constructive results that have been made. As Vice Minister Qian has just updated on some of the figures in RMB, and I would like to emphasize that if we calculated that in the US dollars, this figure has increased by 3% for the attraction of the foreign investment. This has surpassed our expectation and delivered a very good result back in 2018. In 2018, MOFCOM has fully implemented the decisions that has been taken by the CPC Central Committee and the State Council. In the foreign areas, we have continued to optimize the foreign investment and optimize the foreign investment. First of all, we continue to facilitate the foreign investment. MOFCOM has focused on high-quality development of economy in China. We have worked with NDRC we have revised the negative listing mechanism and the FTA mechanism. Across China, we have streamlined the processes for the administrative approval. So this has provided better convenience for the registration for the foreign investors in China. At the same time, we work with relevant departments to provide better service for the entry of the foreign investors to China. At this time, we need more talents in China. All of these actions will help to facilitate the foreign investment in China. Second, we need to ensure a better standard for the foreign investment. We have optimized the tax policies. And also, we would like to make sure that these foreign investors can earn profitability in their performance in China. At the same time, we have also amended the new foreign investment law. And also, we have directed the foreign investors in their foreign investment in the area of agriculture, modernized service, etc. So all of these efforts will help China to grow into high-quality development. At the same time, we work together with the local government to optimize their service for the foreign investment. We will also give full play to the free trade zones. And for the economic development zone, they should carry more mission in the course of opening up. And they should play a critical role. At the same time, we will also take a series of effective initiatives to promote trade. Third, we will continue our efforts to better protect the foreign investment. So in 2017, we have come up with a series of mechanisms so that it can provide the guidance to the local governments so that they can better protect the foreign investors locally. And also we organize symposia with the transnational companies so that we can respond to their concerns in time. As I have just mentioned a series of policies, we will continue our efforts to accelerate the amendment of the law of patent. At this stage, we will submit to the National People's Congress for another round of deliberation. This is the summary for the performance of 2018. In 2019, MOFCOM will continue to follow the instructions and guidance that has been proposed by General Xi Jinping in the first CIIE, and we will also continue to ease the market access, and also we will abide by the pre-establishment national treatment and the negative list mechanism. We will step up to protect the interest of the foreign investors. And we also made detailed arrangements in the new foreign investment law in this regard, so that we can create a world-class foreign investment environment. Thank you. Now we will have the last two questions. From CNR. My question is about the consumption performance during the Spring Festival. Can you give us some updates about the consumption in the Spring Festival? So for the Spring Festival, it's a time for the Chinese people to reunion with their family members. Until we arrive at the Lantern Festival, we are still in the area of the Spring Festival. So I would like to take this opportunity to extend my greetings to all of you. So as you see, we have very long Spring Festival holiday, and also we have a very good consumption during the Spring Festival period. We have fully implemented the decisions that have been taken by our State Council and the CPC Central Committee to make sure that all the people can enjoy their Spring Festival. There were 4 features for the Spring Festival market in this year. We have very good performance during the Spring Festival. We have very sound weather during the Spring Festival holiday. And for some of the physical stores, especially the online services, they continue to serve the consumers during the Spring Festival, and they have also a variety of products. So even though we see a slight increase of the price of the beef, the mutton, and the vegetables, and however, in general, we have maintained a very steady growth for the consumption. According to the data from MOFCOM, for the retail sector and the catering sector all combined, the consumption reached around 1 trillion, which is up by 8.5% year-over-year. So this has been set a solid foundation for the performance of Q1 in 2019. The third feature is that the consumption of the Spring Festival this year is a strong representation of the Spring Festival. We have a lot of highlights, and also we see a rapid growth of the sales. And we also see a greater sales in the traditional Spring Festival products. And also we can see a lot of sales coming from the New Year's Eve dinner. And for the Imperial Palace, they have organized a special event to celebrate the Chinese New Year, which has attracted over 400,000 visitors. And actually on February the 6th, our vice minister had personally visited the Imperial Palace. So he himself has made some contribution to the 1 trillion RMB consumption. And this time, for the consumption, we will see most of them actually coming from the green food, the smart home appliances, and also some communication devices. For some of the key enterprises monitored in Sichuan province, we do see a double-digit growth for the sales of the LED home appliances and also some communication devices. And for some of the performance in the outlets, we can see the sales has also increased by around 20%. That's why I say we have a very good performance of the consumption in the Spring Festival. Thank you. From CMG, my next question is about the poverty alleviation. 2019 is a crucial year to secure a decisive victory to build a well-off society, and by 2020, we will ensure that all of the impoverished families are being lifting out of the poverty. Can you give us some updates on the work that's being taken by MOFCOM? For the poverty alleviation, it is actually one of the 3 critical tasks that has been proposed by the CPC Central Committee and the State Council. And this year marks the 70th anniversary of the founding of People's Republic of China. We have made solid progress in poverty alleviation. According to national statistics, we have around 400 million people in the group of middle income. And also, we have to lift around 700 million people out of poverty. And this task will be completed by 2020. This is a major task from China in 2019. In 2018, MOFCOM has fully implemented the 3-year action plan that has been put forth by the State Council and made a thoughtful arrangements from the commerce aspect. So the path we have been taken is from the commerce aspect. And the poverty alleviation is one of the 8 action plans from MOFCOM's key task. We have made solid progress in the poverty alleviation. There were several features. First of all, we have introduced more e-commerce in the rural areas. So the e-commerce poverty alleviation has covered around 737 counties in China. And this has also surpassed our expectation in 2018. We have also helped around 500 villages in this regard. MOFCOM has organized 6 production sales activities so that we can bring more agricultural products into the urban areas. We're also offering booths in the rural areas to sell the agricultural products free of charge. First of all, we have been helping Guang'an from the Sichuan province out of poverty. And also, we have held Yilong to be lifted out of poverty in July of 2018. At the same time, MOFCOM has also taken some innovative actions to help the poverty alleviation. As we have just mentioned that we have used the platform of home service to help these regions to be lifted out of the poverty. We have offered over 35,000 jobs in the rural areas. So if one person can earn 10,000 per year, so it will help the 35,000 people getting out of poverty. At the same time, the MOFCOM is also taking the opportunity of the Canton Fair to provide opportunities for the impoverished population. We reduced the price, the admission fee for the rural areas to attend the Canton Fair. And also, they have earned a decent turnover from the Canton Fair. And also, we provided trainings for the officials and cadres from the rural areas. And also, we have conducted some international cooperation and share some of the cases with the international companies so that we can better support the poverty alleviation. So the poverty alleviation is of great concern from the international society. Some of the developing countries, they would also like to learn from the valuable experiences from China. So that's why we share a lot of successful cases in the poverty alleviation to the international society. 2019 is a crucial year to win the battle of poverty alleviation. We will continue to strictly follow the work arrangement from the CPC Central Committee and to improve the efficiency of the poverty alleviation. So hopefully we can bring more e-commerce companies into the rural areas. And hopefully we can cover all the impoverished regions so that we can bring more agricultural products from these rural areas into the urban areas. All of these efforts will help to lift these regions out of poverty in 2019. This is the end of the press conference. Thank you for our special guest. And today is the 8th date of the first lunar year. Now I would like to extend my New Year wishes to all of you. Wish all of you a Happy New Year.